Dr. Mohamed Abdelsalam Babiker, thank you for allowing Radio ERENA to have an interview with you. Today there was a 59th session on human rights in Eritrea, and then I think you had a report. What was the main focus or main points that you present?
Thank you so much for having me in this interview. Always glad to have Radio ERENA covering Eritrean issues, in particular human rights situation. Mainly the report covered many critical areas related to the human rights situation in Eritrea, including the national service and also issues related to arbitrary detention and disappearance of hundreds of Eritreans, language in jail and in detention for a long time. Also, the report covered issues related to one of the new areas related to, they call it transnational repression of human rights of Eritreans in the diaspora. Also, the report focused on the rights of Eritrean asylum seekers and refugees outside, and calls for protection of refugees by host countries, particularly after the conflict in in the region, including Sudan, Libya, and also the policies of countries in the region, which are actually hostile towards Eritreans. So this is mainly the key aspects of the reports.
Okay, Doctor. You have been appointed as a Special Rapporteur since 2020, and then as we all know, that the Eritrean government doesn't cooperate with your rapporteur. Is that the name?
Yes, absolutely. I'm the said rapporteur, and also the mandate created since 13 years. The mandate, and I'm the third rapporteur. So the Eritrean government never cooperated with the special rapporteurs or the commission of inquiry. So I don't have access to the country, although I tried persistently to engage with the Eritrean government and submitted many letters and requests to visit the country, but they never allow special rapporteurs, not only myself, but also my predecessors to visit the country. And this is one of the key challenges with regard to being able to verify information and facts on the ground, to meet people, to visit places of detention, and to be able to report on the human rights violations. So alternatively, I have a different methodology of collecting information and verification of information.
Yeah. So what are you using as your source of collection information?
I use different methodologies. In my report, there is a methodology part, how rapporteurs collect information, including interviews, meeting victims and their families, getting information from open source, but open source you verify like a journalist. As journalists, you verify your information from different sources, and then you verify all the information. Also meeting with people, meeting with experts, civil society organizations outside the country, academia, diplomatic community. So all these are different sources, which is very hard, but it requires an effort from myself and also the team supporting the mandate. And so this is the way we I collect information and verify the information. Special rapporteurs have code of conduct and methodology to how to collect and verify information. Because the report is an important report and used widely as a key report regarding Eritrea, independent report. Yeah.
Okay, Doctor. This reporting has been going for years now, but there is no strong action from the international international community. What do you think it's happening?
I know that people are frustrated because now each year we submit a report and the report is discussed by the Human Rights Council and then there is no outcome. Also, the Commission of Inquiry report is a very big report, made many recommendations including crimes against alleged commission of crimes against humanity. So what is the outcome? This is a very key question. Many people ask me about the outcome. One of the key aspects with regard to the mandate, number one, it is a very good source of documentation with regard to documenting violations from a United Nations body, which maybe later will be used for accountability purposes, which I guess is very important, a tool for Eritreans to be used later. As you know, in many countries, when there is a change of government or a change of regime, then there is a legacy, could be used, there is documentation and evidence could be used by victim groups so that they can press charges, they can call for accountability, or the country can be part of a transitional justice process. The second point regarding the report is actually a key report used by policymakers in many countries regarding how they approach Eritrea with regard to the human rights file, and also it's proven very helpful for Eritreans who seek asylum outside. So the report represents the main report when people were actually submit their application for asylum and claim that they are actually persecuted by the Eritrean government. So the report is actually provide an independent source which could be used by many host governments in order to verify and also to build their own strategy or policy to what extent they accept refugee claims for people. Also the report could be also used for public advocacy.
People are losing hope in my community. Like even we start going to demonstrations, we start following the reporting, everything. A lot of people, I mean. Can you give us any hope or to continue doing what?
No, there is always hope. People should know that human rights change doesn't come overnight. It is like a process. These things, it is like building up momentum, verification, monitoring, because when we talk about human rights here, we talk about different things. Right of media, journalists, freedom of association, freedom of assembly, right to public participation, periodic elections, right to life, issues related to arbitrary detention. So all these are issues cannot be resolved overnight. Judiciary, rule of law. In many countries there is a lot of challenges. So if you can take not only Eritrea is not only the only country suffering from a bad record of human rights. Each country globally has its own problem. We know that Eritrea has serious problems because it is now under the mandate of the Special Rapporteur. But people should be hopeful that one day situation, I'm sure, will get better. And this is is logical because many countries went through dark days with regard to human rights violations, and after that they emerge. And I can name many countries. I can name many countries in Africa, many countries globally. So I think Eritreans should be hopeful with regard to change. I'm coming from Sudan. Sudan had a very successful revolution in 2019, but now it has a war. But people are still struggling to get back, keep calling for their rights. Now you have a conflict. Used to have a conflict in Tigray. Now, what happened in Syria after the collapse of Assad regime? Now people are calling for accountability. Back in history, you have South Africa, where you have a transitional justice process. Also, Rwanda after the genocide, former Yugoslavia. All these are countries suffered from serious human rights violations, including Commission of International Crimes, war crimes and crimes against humanity. But later, after pressure from civil society, public campaigns, advocacy, situation have to change. This is the logic of life. So I think Eritreans should be really hopeful, and I know that Eritreans are very resilient in terms of fighting for their own country and also to improve their own human rights situation.
Your mission as a rapporteur will be finished soon in July?
In July.
Is there any hope that will be?
Normally the mandate, it is for 1 year. It has been extended for the last 12 years. And so the mandate, there is the council normally renews the mandate unless the council voted to end the mandate. In case the mandate is ended, so your question, what is the alternative? Yeah.
What is the alternative?
What is the alternative? I hope that the mandate will not be ended. I hope it will continue because, as I said, it is important it's the only voice for independent verification of the actual human rights situation. But in case that it is ended, and in some countries the mandate ended, there is different mechanisms and different ways of human rights advocacy. Civil society can still advocate for Eritrean rights. Public campaigns. There are also other mechanisms through the UPR mechanism, treaty-based bodies, African human rights system. Civil society can be involved in different litigations. So there are different routes. The mandate of the rapporteur is not the only human rights mechanism. It's only a mechanism under the Human Rights Council, but there is also other mechanisms. But really, I hope that the mandate will continue.
They have basic knowledge around politics. Without going deep into politics, who is allowing this thing to happen? Who is blocking? Can you tell us a little bit of what's going on around the politics?
Regarding the renewal of the mandate, you mean?
Yes.
Basically, the council, the Human Rights Council, created this mandate, and the council consists of 47 countries, coming from different blocks. From the African bloc, from the Asian bloc, from the European bloc, the American blocs. So here you have different countries, and countries actually, they have their different political biases, they have their own interests. Sometimes they align with other countries. Some support Eritrea, some believe that the Eritrea should be under the human rights monitoring. So this is why when it comes to the renewal of the mandate, these countries basically they vote. But thanks God that for the last 12 years, all there is yearly renewal of the mandate, and I hope this will continue because there is nothing changed. It's still the violation going on. There is no improvement in the human rights situation in the country at all levels, and I hope that the council will continue renewing the mandate of the special rapporteur. Just would like to add that people should not be should be encouraged to support the mandate, and this time I made a call to provide information for the special rapporteur for the report, and I would like here to thank civil society organizations who provided inputs which actually helped us in writing the report. I also would like to thank also families of victims and also survivors who provided vital information to the special rapporteur, and they persistently advocate for the rights of their loved ones. I also would like to commend the efforts of civil society organizations who participated in the sessions of the Human Rights Council, and also who advocated for change to the very appalling human rights situation in the country. As I said, including the change in the military service, the change in at least people to have the right to participate in their public affairs, and also freedom of religion, rule of law, at least to have independent media. I really hope that Radio ERENA will be functioning and operating in Eritrea, to have this interview inside Eritrea, so that people will be enlightened about their own country. So I really hope that there will be an opening, and I think this will happen in the future. And I know that the Eritrean people are very resilient, and their voice will inshallah, as we say in Arabic, will prevail. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.